morning, everybody. Go ahead and bring this meeting to order. The Police and Fire Retirement Board meeting on February 18th, 2026. Roll call. Trustee Menon.
Here.
Trustee Flicker.
Here.
Trustee Ganapati is running a little late, but she will be here. Trustee
Here.
Trustee Lee.
Present.
Trustee Santos.
Yes.
Trustee Votto.
Here.
Trustee Woosley.
Here.
And myself, Trustee Gardner, is here. Orders of the day. There are no orders of the day. We do need to waive sunshine on 4C1 final 2025 actuarial valuation results. Motion by Santos. Second by Menon. Any comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's it. All right, we'll go ahead and go to the consent calendar. Is anything on the consent calendar people want to pull?
Motion to approve.
All right, if none, we got a motion by Santos,
Second.
second by Votto. Any comments? Not, take, vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And at this moment, I'll take any public comments that is related to the retirement board, if there's any. All right, there is none. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to investments. Oral update by the CIO, Prabhu Palani.
Good morning, trustees. We have no agenda items this morning, but I do have performance numbers. As of Monday the 16th, fiscal year to date, the pension plan was up 8.73%, and the healthcare trust was up 12.07%. With that, I'm happy to take questions.
All right, there's no question. Thank you, Prabhu. All right, 4B, Councilmember Liaison is not, Councilmember Casey's not here at the moment, but we'll circle back if he does pop in. So we'll go ahead and go to 4C, discussion action on the final OPEB.
CEO.
Yep.
Skip going. Go last.
Yeah, you're right.
Save the best for last.
Do you mind?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
You mind if we stay here?
Yes, absolutely.
Good morning, trustees. I need to address a matter that some of you and some of our members may be aware of. The city of San Jose recently notified current and former employees of a data security incident involving the loss of a USB drive on January 9th. The drive contained names and social security numbers. The city has reported this to the California Attorney General's office and is offering affected individuals 1 year complimentary credit monitoring. I think what's important to note for us is that while this is an evolving situation, we don't believe ORS staff were involved in any way. And we also don't believe that ORS data was the source of the information that was lost on this USB drive. And then most importantly, we received no information from the city other than the letter that I received as an employee of the city letting me know that that this incident had happened. And for any of the members that are listening out there, or any of the unions or retiree association, what the city's asking us to do is because we're receiving a lot of calls, as you can imagine. The retirees see this information and they believe it's ORS because it affected their information. But the reality is this is being completely directed by the city and orchestrated by the city. And the city has asked that we direct any questions to the number that's on the email. I'll just say it briefly here, 877-421-8647. And that's where all questions are being directed as they come into ORS. But the main question that we're receiving is this real? When you get a letter like that, you may not know if it's a scam or not, but it is a real event, and that they should call the number and they can get all their questions answered. If they call ORS, we will need to redirect them to that number.
Now, if I can ask a question, the source of the loss was a city related activity?
That, to my knowledge, that's the case. Okay, we're going to the normal update. So, some much better news on the staffing front. One of our temporary personnel resigned earlier this month, and we have replaced that position. This position is supporting ORS while recruitments are underway, and we have an existing maternity leave. The position will primarily support our customer service team at the front desk during this peak demand season. But I am happy to report that we've extended offers for all of our open analyst positions. And to take a second, I'd like to give a special thanks to our senior pension analysts, Giselle, Tara, and Teresa, who, in addition to their normal workload, peak season demand, while being down 3 analysts, were able to conduct this recruitment. One of which, Jake Chow, started as one of our new pension analysts today. Jake has been working in the benefits division for the past 4 months as a temporary pension analyst. During that time, he's made strong contributions and quickly demonstrated his analytical skills, professionalism, and commitment to the work. Jake holds a bachelor's degree in applied mathematics from San Jose University, a master's degree in Georgia Institute of Technology. He also brings valuable experience from his prior roles as an actuarial intern and as a data science intern. We hope that the other 2 candidates will have start dates in March. Lastly, on the recruitment front, we plan to have interviews for our overstrength benefits program management position at the end of this week. We had a JPC scheduled for March 3rd that we need to reschedule due to conflicts, but at that meeting, we plan to present, among many things, the Gallagher compensation study for our investment team. So I'll work with the chairs and the vice chair to get that rescheduled. We have a quarterly retirement planning workshop scheduled for Thursday, February 26th for our police and fire members. It's at 1 p.m. On a procurement contract update, we finalized our MMRO contract and onboarding is underway. Exam work contract has been signed and we are working through the administrative process. We will restart scheduling appointments with them shortly. We did have a small break in service, but we'll be getting those restarted shortly. Later on today, we have a presentation from Aon concerning stakeholder feedback in our strategic planning process and some next steps. There are 3 city policies on the agenda today with staff recommendations for approval. This is normal course as the city updates their policies. And also note on the governance front, in consultation with Aon, we have drafted a new public comment policy on policies, and updated our policy template, all to be discussed at the March 18th governance committee meeting, along with a governance review framework. At the we have a joint audit committee meeting scheduled for tomorrow after the federated board meeting. Baker Tilly will attend remote and provide a team introduction and a presentation on the risk assessment that's currently in progress. They have already begun their paper review, met with senior staff, and begun meeting with the audit committee and audit committee chairs and committee members. Retiree 1099-Rs were mailed out the last week in January. Leading to some of the peak demand season that we're having right now. We get a lot of questions this time of year about the 1099s or adjustments to their withholdings to prepare them for a better tax year next year. Something big going on at the office. It's been kind of under the currents, but we have a new ADA Title II WCAG 2.1 AA compliance. So WCAG stands for Web Content Access Guidelines. And so these are new requirements around any digital materials that need to be posted on any of our publicly facing websites. We have been working, this has been in and around for a while. And April 24th is the final deadline. We've already sent notices to all of our content providing vendors to let them know, put them on notice about the compliance deadline. And that any materials that they submit to be included on a board agenda, which has been published to the website, must meet these new compliance standards. We are working internally to update our website to make it structurally compliant. So if you think about the compliance issue, it's the website itself needs to be structurally compliant, but then the content on the website also needs to be compliant. And fortunately or unfortunately, we have lots and lots of documents on our website, on our agendas, on our historic information that we provide to the public and to the members as a courtesy. So we're working with the city, we're working internally to figure out how to bifurcate the materials into an archive section versus a current section. The current section of these materials would need to be updated with the new compliance, and then the archive materials can be updated only when a reasonable accommodation is required. Anyway, I mention it here because it's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, and at the end of the day, I hope that we have, we started with a completely functioning website, and we're ending with a completely functioning website, but it's a ton of work that has to go in to make it compliant. With that, I will take the questions.
There are no questions. Thank you. Bill, can I ask for 2 more minutes? Okay. I appreciate that. So we'll go to 4B, oral update by City Council member Casey. Oh, E.
Yeah, thank you. No substantive update.
All right, thank you.
Interpretive dance.
All right, now, Bill Chiron, thank you for your patience. We'll turn it over to you, and you can go ahead and go to 4C and 4C D and E.
All right. Good morning. So Jackie and I are here today to present the final actuarial valuation results for the OPEB plan. This is the end of the heavy actuarial calendar. The last valuation that we're presenting to you. Also, the next item is a quick item projecting 5-year city contributions. We presented the preliminary results back in December, and the board adopted a change in the discount rate in January. And so many of these numbers you will have seen before, but just as a reminder, this valuation develops contributions for the fiscal year end 2027. The member contributions are set in statute, so our decisions and valuation do not affect the member contributions. They only affect the city contributions. The member contributions are fixed at 8%. There's 2 subsidies in this program. There's the direct premium subsidy, and then there's an implicit subsidy. The implicit subsidy is paid on a pay-as-you-go basis through the city's active health premiums. And so for the most part, we are not addressing that in this valuation. We're just valuing the premium subsidy that is portion of the plan that's pre-funded. Here we're showing the liabilities and assets for the plans. On the left is the police plan, and on the right is the fire plan. A couple of things I want to note before I get into the actual numbers. First, when you're thinking about this compared to the pension plan, it is substantially smaller. You can see the liability for the police plan is about 500 million. And for the fire plan is about 300 million, a little over that compared to the 5 or 6 billion for the pension plan. So it's significantly small. The blue bars here are the liability for those members receiving benefits, and the red are for the active members. The blue bars are the substantial portion of the liability. That's because this plan is substantially closed. Only tier 1 members who did not elect to join the VEBA get full benefits. Other members get a catastrophic disability benefit, which is a much, much lower liability. And so the liabilities going forward are going to continue to shift to largely the in-pay groups. Now, from last year to this year, the funded status improved from about 44% to 48% for the police plan and from 42 to 48% for the fire plan. And we'll go through what drove those changes in the rest of our presentations. Here we're looking at the contributions. Again, the police plan is on the left and the fire on the right. The purple bars are the member contributions. Those for the police have gone down and for the fire have remained the same. Again, those are just a fixed 8% of pay. And so the fact that it's going down reflects the decline in active membership that's eligible for full benefits. The gold bars are the city's contribution for that premium subsidy. And you can see their contribution is going up somewhat. And the blue line at the top compares it to the projection from the last valuation. It's a slight increase from the last valuation, even though we've increased the discount rate. Before Jackie gets into some of the details, I'm going to go through some of the membership issues just to emphasize how this plan is transitioning. And I took off the group that's receiving only the catastrophic disability. So the members represented here are all getting full benefits. And you can see that that plan is declining in membership over time. The blue bars are the active employees, and those have declined substantially. Actually, this year it's interesting is the first year that the number of police active members is lower than the number of fire active members. But we expect that trend to continue as the members who are eligible retire. And then the next group up is those who are not eligible for Medicare yet, but are receiving benefits. Those are the higher premiums before Medicare comes in. And then the members above that are all covered by Medicare. So even if we just look at the retiree groups, you can see that it's for the fire, it's been increasing, but is relatively stable, not increasing rapidly. For the police, the retiree groups are still increasing, have increased from about 1,200 to 1,500 over this period. If we bring back the catastrophic group, you can see that that's the new membership that is eligible only for the catastrophic disability. That group is growing, but their liabilities are very small in comparison to those who receive full benefits. We have a couple charts looking at how the plan is aging. I'm just going to hit a couple slides here, but or a couple dates here. The dark blue again is those with full benefits, and the teal, the catastrophic only. I want to kind of focus on those who are getting full benefits only. So this is the population in 2025 in their age groups, and if we go back to 2017, you can see how much larger and younger the population was. And so that's the progression we've had. We can scroll through it year by year, but the trend is just getting smaller and older for those who are eligible. Then we can look at a similar thing for the retirees or those receiving benefits. Here, the different groups are what kind of medical coverage they have. So if they are just covering themselves, that's the employee or retiree only. And the green is the retiree plus spouse. So that's a two-party coverage. And then you can see the retiree plus children or family coverage. And so as you would expect, as they get older, it shifts more and more to just the retiree only coverage. And we've seen that shift as well from younger pre-Medicare coverage dominating to now it's members covered by Medicare who are dominating coverage. With that, I'm going to turn it to Jackie to go through your results.
Okay, so this slide, we're showing the change in the unfunded actuarial liability. So piece on the left, bar on the right. And what it does is it starts the blue bar on the left of each chart. That's the unfunded liability as of the previous valuation, and then each bar in between that shows a specific change breakout, and then how you get to the unfunded liability as of the most recent bill date. In both cases, the unfunded liability, both parts, it did decrease, and that is in large part to great investment returns, which lowered the UAL, as well as assumption changes. So you did have the demographic assumption changes. Those were the ones made for the pension plan that get used for this plan too. And then in addition to that, unique to this plan, separate from the pension plan, you did increase the discount rate from 6% to 6.25, which was a big cause of lowering that unfunded liability again. One number that kind of did offset those gains that we just mentioned was the premium changes. So in the middle of each chart, you can see that dark gray line, gray bar. You did see some large increases in the premiums compared to what was expected, and that offset the gains, unfortunately, but you still had decreases in your unfunded liability. As far as the premiums go, it wasn't unique to this plan to have those large increases. That was across the board. And there were a couple of reasons with uncertainty in the market. But one of the main reasons was that the CMS is shifting into a new risk model, which did increase premiums a lot, particularly for the Medicare eligible premiums. Okay, this shows the historical, so that the slide before showed the change just in the most recent year. This shows historically over the last 5 years what's happened. So you can see in general, so anything below 0, that's a gain, that's lowering your unfunded liability. Anything above 0 is a loss. And you can see there's a couple of big colors that pop out there. Notably that dark gray bar, those are your premium changes. So you can see in some years you had gains from it, and then notably in 2023 and 2025 you had some losses from that. Another big one is the gold bar. That's your investment returns. It's not unusual to see that oscillating over the years too, just depending on some good returns or not. And then the last one that kind of stands out on this chart is the purple bar, which are assumption changes. And a big driving force for that is changing the discount rate over time. So you can see that. So this splits it out over the last 5 years, but if we look at those 5 years combined, it kind of emphasizes the changes that we have. So the big thing, the big one they added to your unfunded liability was the assumption change, but as mentioned, most notably the discount rate change. But in total, you did see decreases in the funded liability for investment returns, premiums. You have that broken down demographic gains and losses. That's a light gray. That's just if the data differs from what is expected. So when are people retiring? Those sorts of assumptions. And then again, and then the red bar at the bottom there, that's your contributions. Those are contributions in excess of the trade order rate. So that's helping to lower the unfunded liability over time.
Jackie, can you go back to the previous slide? What I have here on my screen is a little different. No, the prior slide of the individual years, the historical, yeah.
Yes, that was the update that we made, that was distributed, this morning.
Oh,
It was particularly, the slide, 11, that's the only thing that we changed, from what was in the agenda. And the one thing, the only thing that we did do was that originally that 2025 year, that purple bar, we hadn't included, the increase in the discount rate.
Oh.
We did add that, and that's the update.
oh,
It was provided this morning, so we apologize for
well,
that.
that's okay. All right, thanks. Thanks.
That's the only difference. So moving on to looking at some projected numbers, so we're going to looking at what's happened in the past, and now we're looking at what we expect to happen in the future. This slide shows you the projected benefit payments. You can see a big chunk of it is for the retirees, the Medicare, the funded Medicare and non-Medicare eligible parts of that. Those are the funded explicit subsidies. You have a small part there, that's the gold bar, that's for the dental. And then you have that very small teal at the top, that's the catastrophic disability. So one thing to note is that as people, because it's a closed plan, but as people retire, we expect these benefit payments to increase over the next 30 years or so. And then once we get to that point when no more actives are in the plan, that's when you're going to expect to see the decreasing, because you're no longer going to be adding any more benefit payments. You're going to see the number coming down as people die and are no longer receiving a benefit. The one thing to also notice is that little teal portion that is open to participants, but there's no one receiving that payment yet. And also, if they do become eligible for it, the payment will be in 2065. So that's why it's only payable for a short period of time if they are eligible for it. On this slide, we're looking at the projected liabilities and assets. So as far as the liabilities, the green line is your market value of assets. And the percentages at the top, those are your funding ratios. So a couple of key things to look at that is on both sides, we're expecting the liabilities to peak in about 2037, 2038. And then at that point, we're going to expect to see the liabilities decreasing. The things that add to liabilities, new benefit payments and interest, and then a number that decrease is when benefit payments cease, and you'll see the liabilities coming down. Your assets are growing at a much faster rate than your liabilities, and you are projected to get to either close to or at full funding towards the end of the period shown there, is going about 2043. You're expecting to get to about full funding for this plan. So, it's far way off, but still foreseeable in the future. So a big part of the contribution for the plan is always It's the amortization part of the payment for the actually determined contribution. So you can see we break it down by police and fire here. I'll actually just start off by just showing you. Show you 25 different. So just a reminder, your amortization policy, you have a 3-year phase in and phase out at the beginning of each phase. So this is the new phase that was created this year. So because you had a gain, you get a phase that is going to draw down your unfunded liability. You can see at the beginning of each side, you've got your 3-year phase. First year, next year gets doubled, and then you get fully phased in on the 3rd year. The same thing happens at the end of the period. You get a decreasing number, and then it's that amortization is fully paid off. You do see like the numbers. Well, here you see an increasing negative number, and that's just that's as projected payroll increases. If we look at all of them together, you can see the biggest contributing factor to this number right now is that 2017 base that was created. And once that gets paid off in 2043, you can see you're going to see that UAL payment drop significantly. So that is a driving factor there right now. But once that gets paid off, that's when you're definitely going to see that big drop. You can see if you get rid of 2017, the numbers kind of balance each other out. Some years you have some gains, some years you have some losses. So that almost, you can see starting like in 2043, you can see how that number varies a little around 0 there. So. And then looking at the projected contributions for the plan, the gray bars on the left of each chart, that's what actually happened, and then we're projecting going forward. We're also showing the projected 2024 projections, those are from the 2012 valuation. And you can see that with that, it's actually pretty close to what was projected. The purple bar, that's the member contribution. So you can see that decreasing over time. That's as the active members retire, and because it's a closed plan, you're going to see that disappear over time. As far as the gold bar goes, that's the city part. So the city pays, what they take is the full actually determined contribution amount minus the member contributions. So that's why you see that, and as payroll increases, that's why you're seeing that number increase over time. And then, of course, referring back to the previous slide, when that 2017 UL base gets paid off, that's when you're expected to see a very large decrease in the city contribution. So with that, are there any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair. What's the total of police and fire retirees? What's the number?
The total liability?
How many retirees, police and fire combined?
Oh, okay. We'll pull up the valuation report.
No, 1,500 police. Thought on earlier stuff. Slightly.
So in grand total, so this includes actives and retirees. The grand total for the plan, no, that's
I
contribution.
just want the grand total of the police and fire retiree.
So we had it broken out between each portion, but we can do it quicker.
So there's 2,527 police. And 1,558 fire.
Give me the total of the retirees of police and fire.
Just retirees? Yeah, then.
Two thousand 450.
2,400? Thank you.
Any other questions on OPEB? Not, let's go to the next one. I think we need to take this, because we gotta start this one.
Motion to accept.
Just a motion by Otto.
Second.
Second was over here, but after him.
Second by Woosley. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any dissenting? All right, passes. All right, Bill.
All right. This next one's a quick one. This is a letter we provide every year, providing a breakout of our 5-year and 20-year projections for the city's budgeting purposes. And so it just reiterates information that's already been provided in the valuation report, but in the format for the city to use in their budgeting process. So it will take any questions, but normally the board just accepts this so that it can get passed to the city.
Any questions on the 5-year? If not, there's no action that needs to be taken, just a discussion. So go ahead and E.
All right. So when we last proposed for your contract, we threw in an offer to create a web-based dashboard for the plan. And so this is the dashboard we've created. I'll walk you through what it can do, what's there, and how you can use it. But I think the main discussion we wanted to have is how it should be rolled out. This is a site that is hosted on our website. There's a URL. And so the question would be, is this something that should be available to everyone? To just the board and staff? Should we put a password on the site? Those sorts of questions, and we'll defer to you, but let me walk you through what is on the site and how you can use it. It's something that would only be updated once a year with the valuation. But for example, the first page that comes up has these 2 charts on it. I should say one of the general things is this little button here. You can click on to make it full screen. And this should work on a variety of screen sizes, whether it's your computer or your phone or iPad, whatever. But this particular chart is just something so that you could look at an estimate of what the funded ratio would be based on our investment return for the current year.
So just to clarify, what's in our presentation is not correct, right? It's some hypothetical number.
No, this is you.
Because you're showing that you're projecting on January 30th, 2026, the funded ratio goes down from 87 to 77.
No.
That's what we have in our presentation.
What does it show as the investment return on that?
I can't see it, so.
On the bar at the top?
6.625.
That's what is.
Okay, so
It's,
I think there was a problem in what was printed,
Yes.
because here we're showing 6.625.
Yeah.
And you can see the increase on the market ratio from 87.9 to 89.8. And on the actuarial ratio from 84.4 to 87.3. I think you said, what, 8.75 so far?
Yeah. 8.73.
So we aren't showing every investment return, but you could flip to 9%, for example, and see that that changes the number here to 91.8 and 87.7.
I think the key here is that this is just an example of what the site will look like.
right. It just can be misleading because people look at this and say, why?
Well, I'll address that when we talk about who could see it.
Yeah, so it's got a range of optimistic scenarios and also pessimistic. And so this one does the similar thing for contributions, showing both the city rate and the tier 2 member rate. Now, these are aggregated across police and fire, so it's not exactly what each tier 2 member would pay. So these are just intended to give you an estimate of where things are for the next year. We have, under the membership item, we have a couple charts that you've seen, the membership totals. You can break it out by tier 1 or tier 2. On this one, didn't make the change on yours, but on Federated's version, we got a comment. These numbers, depending on the size of the screen, you can't see, and so I moved them so the numbers don't show on the chart, but they show on Hover. But in general, you can click across these different things in the legends. You can click and turn series on or off, just like we've been doing in our presentations. So you can see different things, and you can just play around with those different outputs. This is the age distribution on the right-hand side. You can go back in time and see what it looked like versus today. There's a funded status screen, and I'm going to blow this one up. So this one is showing the assets in green and the unfunded liability. And if you hover over the bar, it gives you the breakdown, including the funded ratio. And this is just comparing the 2 most recent years, but you can expand it to look at the history going back 10 years, or to look forward, or bring in both. And see what the projections are. And again, if you hover, you get some of the breakdown. If you just want to look at the UAL and see how that's getting paid off, you can eliminate the assets, for example. This is the chart that very similar to the chart Jackie just went through today on OPEB, but shows the information for the pension plan and the breakdown. And then there's a section on contributions. Has a chart two charts very similar to what I just showed for the funded status. One of them addresses contribution rates, the other one addresses contribution amounts. Then we also have the amortization layers, similar to what Jackie showed for the OPEB plan, but for the pension plan, we've shown this to you before. This is one where you can't adjust by clicking on the legend. because there's too many layers here. But you can look at the tier 2 police, tier 2 fire versus the tier 1 organizations. And the last one that's specific to your plan is our stress testing. So we did this with the valuation. Work around the Zoom controls here. So the left side are showing the assets and liabilities here, and the right side are the contributions. And then we go through the different scenarios that we showed you in the valuation. And if you hover, the top part will tell you what the scenario is, and then it gives you a table that compares the results between the baseline and whatever scenario you're on. And so that's looking at the funded status versus the contribution side. So you can go through all those scenarios. And then we do have the stochastic projections down here as well. We wanted to look at those tier 1 versus tier 2. So those are all those specific San Jose pieces. Then we also added sort of a window to our 2 survey databases. The left side is our national database. So you can pull up a survey to see, for example, what discount rates are nationally. It does open a different windows to look at things and different graphics. But you can look at these comparisons and you can pull up any system that's in the database. San Jose is currently not in the database because they're not maintained by Boston College, but we are in a process of updating our system so that we can add Chiron clients. And so later this spring or summer, we will be adding San Jose to this database. Let me see if I can get back. I'm going to practice this. And then we also have the California database, which you definitely are in, providing the same sorts of survey information. There's fewer survey items in our California database, but it's very similar. So that's what's available. And so thinking any questions, I would also say, when you look at this, feel free to send suggestions. This is a new product that we are rolling out. You were the first ones to have it go live. So it's part of why we just threw it in as part of our proposal, is we want to get this rolled out for some of our key clients.
Thank you. I think you'll remember that for quite a few years, I've been asking for something, because you got all these fancy little tools. You can plug in numbers. So I have a couple of questions. In the first section of this, is there, it looked like some of these buttons that someone could log in and they could change a number, let's say the investment return. Is that what I saw?
They can adjust the investment returns among the options that are selected.
Okay, so if Dave logs in and changes something, when I log in, will it show me the original or will it show me what Dave changed it to?
The original.
Okay. It looks like a great product. I go to the next discussion. This is dangerous for people that don't understand it. And I can see people plugging in numbers and printing things out and sending them out and going, this is the trouble we're in and everything else. So it would be my recommendation. This is for the board only, which not specifically means it won't get somewhere else, but at least it's some level of control. That's just my opinion.
So the original direction from the board was to have ORS staff and Chiron put together these original sets of slides. And working with Chiron, we suggested to not make this a public facing website. There's no action to be taken on today's agenda. But we're interested to hear your feedback. We are subject to all the open data requirements of the state of California. And so, if somebody requested this information, we would have to share it. But what we're saying is that proactively it would not be available. Of course, any data can be requested at any time.
Well, and I would assume that if we're sharing it, we would share the actual numbers and not this product.
Correct.
And then, having been through a lot in this city, this is the kind of thing that I don't even, no offense, Mr. Casey, I don't want council members to be able to play with.
I'll also point out that I've been in contact with Boston College to get San Jose included in their data set. I was just pulling back up my communications back in August, and they expected that by June they'll have included us in their data set, just so that you're aware of it.
I'd agree with Franco. I think it just stays with the trustees.
Trustees only or trustees and ORS staff?
I'm fine for us time.
Yeah, and any record request, I would assume we would not give them this URL. We would give them this.
The Chiron
in
report.
paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just don't want it altered. But I think it's a great tool and very helpful. Thank you.
And I believe this report we have on our website, correct? Or and they can also go to our agenda.
Sure. So all the pension valuation presentations and base reports and all the raw data that is kind of buttoned up in this nice tool is all available.
I think it's a really useful tool to me. I'm very interested in playing around with it. Now, here's the thing. I wouldn't use the word dashboard because dashboard makes it sound like it's factual. This is really a little bit of a modeling tool, right? You can sort of play around with numbers and change the investment returns and so forth. So I may not use the word dashboard because it's going to encourage people to think that, oh, this is really what it is. And I think it's a great tool and not something that you look at as a reference in that sense. But I think it's great. I think it's really, really good.
We'll take any suggestions for naming.
Any other comments or questions for Jackie and Bill? You guys need anything from us?
I don't think so. I can coordinate with John and just make sure you guys get the URL. And you can go ahead and play around with it. Let us know if you have different feedback. I would suggest trying it on different screens that you like to use and let us know if there's any problem with different screen sizes because it will appear differently. We've tested several different, but there's always something else out there. So we're happy to make some adjustments to try and make sure our template is working broadly.
Okay. Bill, you said it was live. I mean, this is ready to go.
Yeah.
Fairly soon.
Yeah, I can just write down the URL for you.
All right, great. Thanks.
Well, thank you guys both. Thank you for the last 4 or 5 months of all the actuarial work getting through the season. So thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to acknowledge Trustee Ganapati joining us at the 9:51.
Thanks. Missed my favorite part. It was presentation. So
All right, we'll go ahead and go to 4F, discussion and action on strategic planning project, presented by Aon.
Well, good morning. It's a pleasure to see you here today, and I sure appreciate the time to deliver these results from the survey as well as the interviews with staff and trustees. So on slide 2, as a reminder, some of the strategic planning principles that we adhere to, those include seeking input, translate that to English, input from all trustees and key staff, identifying current strengths and weaknesses, really holding candid discussions on the issues to be addressed. And of course, we always urge a reasonable and practical mindset with setting priorities to make sure that the commitments that are made are something that can be followed through, and establish time periods in which those should be completed. And of course, I think that we've discussed this in prior meetings. We always recommend a review of a strategic plan on a regular cycle, whether that's 3 years or 5 years. On slide 3, progress to date, in accordance with these strategic planning principles, we have completed those interviews and collected that stakeholder survey feedback. So conversations were conducted regarding what we like to call in strategic planning, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats. On slide 4, this is the information that I'm about ready to go into from the survey and those interviews. So today's goal in my delivering this update is also to gather your insight and your opinions, because that is what will shape the themes and the goals for the strategic plan. So today we won't be putting together the structure of the strategic plan, but gaining additional insight from these results. So on slide 5, turning first to the mission, vision, and core values. Everything in the strategic plan really should support the mission. The mission and statement includes the who, it includes the why, and it provides the purpose and objective in the present and describes what you do, who you do it for, and the benefit that's provided. So from the trustee feedback, there is a general satisfaction with the current mission statement. It's felt that it does focus on fiduciary responsibility, accurate benefit payments, and high quality service. And I think that benefit and the reason for the existence of ORS and what it means to the members was made known to us through multiple conversations. Suggestions for minor refinements can include a clearer emphasis on member and fiduciary responsibility. There was some support for developing, reviewing a vision statement and core values, provided those don't really incite any political divisiveness or elements that cause further frustration with any plan sponsor relationships. A few were skeptical about the value or risk of overcomplicating these statements. It was seen that this needs to be something that's clear, that's known, that's kind of broadcast around the office so that staff's aware of it. You walk into a boardroom and you see it and you know it. Potential core values include accountability, transparency, trust, integrity, fiduciary responsibility, stewardship, and really putting members first. Trustees favored and saw value in aligning board, staff, and stakeholders around those shared principles. And on slide 6, this is the stakeholder feedback for the police and fire board. The question was asked, what comes to mind when you think about the police and fire department retirement plan? And some of the positive one-word impressions were complete. It's good. We're grateful to have it. It's a healthy plan. It's beneficial. For the board and the Office of Retirement Services, those strengths are tactical financial planning, careful research, communication, timely information is given, service to retirees is good, in-person contact and customer service are some of the hallmarks of the plan. Improvement areas were, this is interesting, member communication. So it's a good thing, but I think it's also seen as something that could be elevated even better. Technology, self-service tools, transparency, and then governance. On slide 7, stakeholder feedback for the federated. The question asked was what comes to mind when you think about the federated system. One word answers included security. and then behind the times, and then beneficial. So some good and then some maybe areas for enhancement. The strengths of the board were governance and service to retirees, improvement areas, technologies, self-service tools, governance, transparency, and investment management. On slide 8, funding and financial health for the police and fire. Trustee comments were given as these first 3 bullets on slide 8 you see here. Achieving and maintaining a fully funded plan is a universal marker of success. Trustees emphasize balance to avoid underfunding or excessive overfunding. Heightened attention to external risk, financial markets, geopolitical factors, city politics, and a prudent asset allocation. The stakeholder feedback believes top priorities should be to grow the fund with the need to maintain and improve financial stability. On slide 9, this is regarding the federated funding and financial health. First 2 bullets are from trustees. Tremendous emphasis on achieving a higher funded ratio, targeting 80% or above, and eliminating unfunded liabilities as the top priorities. External pressures include market volatility, political factors, potential changes in pension plan structure, and that could be anything from converting to a DC, tiered memberships, things of that nature. A stakeholder feedback comment regarding the asset allocation and return being the investment returns is constantly being an ongoing issue. And with the stated need to set a steady course rather than any knee-jerk reactions to markets. And again, the top priority was progress toward 100% funding. On slide 10, the member stakeholder communication for police and fire. There's a strong inclination for enhanced communication. Stakeholder feedback indicates need for clearer information regarding healthcare medical issues. Strengthen those protocols for timely, respectful communication with the Retirees Association upon the loss of a member. Slide 11, the member stakeholder communication for federated. Trustees advocate for proactive communication and regular member surveys and want to know what the members are thinking. Stakeholder survey feedback indicated a request for more member direct communications, mentioning that the quarterly newsletters and ad hoc communication, those are okay, but there's a real potential there. Enhancements and a suggestion for more frequent newsletters, including pictures and profiles such as a short biography or job description of staff. Slide 12, member service for police and fire, willingness to pursue improved member experiences, including timely responses. Stakeholders saw that there could be an improvement in disability retirement processing, retirees' mental health assistance programs, and then intercare responsiveness, which I believe refers to disability. There was a dissatisfaction with the current online processes. On slide 13, member service for the federated. Trustees found high customer satisfaction is a key metric. And for stakeholders, revitalization and aggressive marketing of the former choices classes to better inform employees about the retirement benefits and about retirement planning. Consider adding another class for newer employees to market the value of the pension and help with employee retention. Overall, what we saw was perhaps employees not understanding the benefit that they had, not understanding what it is that happens in this boardroom. On slide 14, regarding the ORS staff, successful hiring and onboarding of a high-quality CIO is viewed as critical. Concerns about leadership transitions impacting investment performance and staff morale. Emphasis on smooth process and team stability. So a real need on succession planning and how that's executed. Retention and competitive compensation for investment staff are ongoing priorities. Calls for streamlined staff recruitment. And then, as I mentioned, succession planning, ensuring smooth transitions for key roles, especially the CIO, the CEO. Saw that as the ultimate goal there. Stakeholder feedback indicates the need to increase staff and ensure ORS employees are appropriately trained. There was additional feedback revolving around the pay for investment staff. On slide 15, stakeholder relationships, city relations and political dynamics. The ongoing tension and need for better collaboration with the city, especially regarding these funding issues, independence and governance. Trustees want more formal processes and regular meetings with city officials to strengthen the relationships and the advocacy. There was a need and a call for maintaining independence. There was a bit of anxiety about potential changes to board independence, especially if the city or legal changes alter the current structures. An emphasis on negotiating calmly and in good faith to avoid any harmful adversarial dynamics. So engage in collaborative negotiations and work toward mutually constructive solutions. Stakeholder survey feedback indicated a concern regarding federal government's national debt, the need for additional revenue, and how they might tap into tax favored status of retirement plans. Just speaking at a federal level. Now move to slide 16, and this concerns technology. There was a consensus on a need for technology-driven service improvements, such as upgrading the website, the member portal, automating processes, and leveraging AI for efficiency. There was a particular note here to look at peer groups and to see what they are doing on their websites as far as chatbots and different ways to make it easier for members to access more quickly the information that they need in real time. Cybersecurity is a shared concern, calls for more internal expertise and education for managers. Better self-help tools and more efficient systems are seen as essential. For the stakeholder survey feedback, that indicated external concerns regarding cyber hacks, cyber intrusions, and ORS really addressing scam emails and the need to focus on the cybersecurity and education for members as well as the staff. Moving to slide 17, board governance. And these are trustee comments. Trustee education and materials, requests for more digestible materials, executive summaries and glossaries to support trustee education. And I think that things that I see other funds doing here when it mentions glossaries, and I believe this is what the intent was, is let's say Chiron just presented, and there were a couple of terms where you weren't certain, but maybe you didn't want to interrupt their flow and ask. You would have kind of a dictionary, so to speak, a way you could look up online the term of that was used, a term of art used by an actuary, and the same would be for investments. It would be a general definition. Education and training, ongoing fiduciary training, education on benefit administration, networking with other boards, and recurring suggestions. Operation challenges due to two-board structure. There were suggestions for more joint meetings between the two boards to understand what is happening with each. Board dynamics issues include trustee turnover, need for more training, especially in fiduciary. That seemed to be a common theme, is to have additional fiduciary training. What were the obligations of a fiduciary? What is that standard? And the risk of the board being too in the weeds or divided. There's a call for clearer roles, better delegation, and more effective governance. Our board cohesion emphasized the need for unity and clear communication and recognition of differing styles. Governance modernization, trustees want more structured goal setting, regular policy reviews, and a modernization of board policy. There was an interest in benchmarking against peer systems and learning from those best practices. So next steps, slide 18, using this information and comments you may have today that you want me to take back. Aon will collaborate with staff to develop recommended themes and goals and bring those back for the board's consideration. That would be done at the March meeting. And once the board approves those, then Aon will work with staff to develop objectives and what we call action steps. And the action plan, those action steps, they kind of put it all together. It sets out how time, talent, budget will be allocated to reach the goals, to reach the objectives. And then after that, put together a work plan for implementation. I'm going to answer any questions, or if there's any additional information you have that you want me to add to the feedback when we consider how that's to be implemented.
Any questions, comments?
How would you resolve differences of opinion, I guess? For example, I think one of the slides which showed feedback from the staff, there were 2 points which are contradictory to each other, right?
I was hoping today to gain more insight from this board, and then tomorrow again from your sister board. I think that's one of the key reasons I flew in from Fort Worth to be here in person was really to understand that. Barring that, if I don't gain any more insight from that, I'll sit down with John along with my work partner, and we will discuss it there, and then we'll go back and look in more detail at our notes and see if we can't find the correct direction. For communication, these are just my comments on thinking about it. It's more, there's a desire for members to have these electronic tools, to have that access, to have it in real time. But there's also, as mentioned earlier, some guardrails that have to be put up. It will be something new. What if something's taken wrong? What if it's not understood? So I think it's an end goal to have all that in place, if my read's correct, but to buffer it a bit and to take it in slower steps and bring it forth to the board, to staff, and then.
Any other questions, comments? If not, this document we do need to take action on and approve, basically recommending the themes and goals that were created first and foremost. Got a motion by Santos, second by Blicker. Any comments?
Just for clarity, I think you're accepting this document as the feedback that we received. The goal at the March meeting is to go through the themes and goals that will actually take this and consolidate it down into a number of, maybe 4 to 6 pillars for a strategic plan that we can then focus on building out action plans or annual work plans to achieve those themes and goals. So it's really more of an acceptance of this document rather than that these are the themes and goals. Sorry, just a little technical, but.
John, will police and fire have a separate strategic plan from federated?
That's a great question. We actually spent a little bit of time talking with Aon about the right approach in this. It's fairly unique, but it's not uncommon. It happens across the U.S. The recommendation would be to have one strategic plan. There may be some annual work items that might be specific to something in police and fire or something in federated, but we would like agreement for the strategic direction for ORS to be marching towards, to be common across both boards. If there was something that was 180 degrees, we'd want to talk about it, but generally the strategic plans are going to not be at such a detailed level that I think we'll be able to get consensus around what our strategic objectives are.
So the second question to that is, when we come up with the themes and goals next month, how do we ensure our board and Federated, if we're not in the same room, are agreeing on the same goals?
I'm gonna offer a suggestion and I'm gonna get Aon's opinion. I think the one committee that is a true joint committee is the JPC. And, I use that kind of as almost an executive committee. It's made up of the IC chair, the board chairs, and one other from each of the boards. It may be appropriate to bring that to them first, and then back to the boards. We'll have to see, if there are significant differences based on the discussions to see if that's warranted. It just may extend the period by which it takes for us to get to a plan. The hope is that for fiscal year 27, so starting July 1, we've got a strategic plan in place. We can build out work plans, annual work plans, based on those goals and objectives that then I can build into staff's annual assessment work plans, right? So we kind of get everybody rowing in that same direction to achieve whatever the strategic goals are that we develop. So I don't want to say there's no timing constraint, but we do have some time.
Right, exactly. Those are great questions because it's a nice segue into a little conclusion here till we do that. It may seem we're plodding along or being a little too methodical, but I don't think we are. The reason that we're going to return in March and talk more about this is to make sure there is alignment, that we haven't missed the mark in any way in our conversations with staff, with implementing the feedback and the feelings of the board. So then we define those objectives, return, and then that. So maybe today the first time you're really hearing all this feedback, and between now and the next meeting, you think, I really have a strong opinion about something. There's a chance to voice that in March and to alter that. And then those would be, that would be for your approval, and we'll present again then. And then, as far as 1 or 2 strategic plans, that's something we really talked about for quite some time. Nothing says that it has to always be one plan. Since this is kind of a kickoff of a new direction, the thought was to implement one plan. But if it looks like that's not going well or not appropriate, nothing says it has to be one. And we can certainly change course at the March meeting if there's strong feelings that it shouldn't be one. That it's not too late. That's perfectly fine. I think where the difference is between the boards on how the strategic plan is implemented, or where some of the unique nature of each system fund is, plan is put into place, is really in those action plans. How much do we want to emphasize disability, for instance? How much do we want to emphasize member education in a new recruitment class versus perhaps there's a different opinion over in Federated on how those things are done. And there's opportunities there to display that uniqueness.
I just have one question. How are you gonna prioritize not in here in terms of coming up with a plan? The criteria.
That's the magic side of it. There's a science, right, and how we go around collecting all the data. Prioritization really is going to be driven by the boards. Obviously it's going to be at the recommendation of Aon and staff. But don't think, I hope that you won't think that all these objectives will be achieved by the end of fiscal year 27, right? The idea is to set longer term goals and objectives so that we have time and to achieve all of them in some methodical pace. And so it'll be recommendation from me and from anybody else on staff that would be appropriate in consultation with Aon. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's really the board's decision on saying, I think this is something we need to solve as an immediate, and then for me to come back and say, okay, let me shift. We only have so much bandwidth, right? And so we'll say, okay, well, then we'll lower the priority of of this so that we can increase the priority of that.
Exactly. So what we'll do is we'll divide things into goals that are achievable in 1 year and look at the budget for that. And then goals that perhaps never will be achieved, but should always be there. Quality member service, enhanced this, you know, it will fall into those different categories and become, hopefully pretty organized. And we can certainly bring in peer data and, look at, you know, let you know what other systems are doing as well that are similar to yours.
Can I ask one quick question? As a follow-up, you mentioned similar to ours. Have you done a lot of projects with dual boards? You have to deal with this kind of dynamic?
So dual boards like this are rare. But we have done projects with police, general or federated, you know, choose your term of art employees all in one system, but they have very different benefit structures and different priorities and different education and different communication. But they are in a shared fund. With completely dual boards, no, that's right. Julie has one, but not in California.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? If not, we do have a motion or prior by Daniel, second by Flicker. All in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? Thank you, Aon. All right, 4G. Are you gonna? Yes, that's one.
We have a few procurement items on the agenda today. This is the first one. Gravity is the software that we're looking to use to reduce our ACFR. As described in here, our current system no longer meets the ADA standards that were required. As well as Gravity will allow us with some direct integration with the city's ACFR process. And so we're asking to allow me to negotiate and execute an agreement for this is not insignificantly more money, but we believe that at the end of the day, it's a better product. There's some initial upfront costs that we need to use to configure the system so that we'll be able to use it. That's a one-time implementation fee, and then we have for a contract for 3 years.
Joe, did you say ADA? What?
Yeah, so that same
Like the writing's not big enough or something? I mean, I don't really understand it.
yeah, so as part of this new ADA Title II, WCAG 2.1 AA compliance, anytime you're gonna post something online, you need to make it ADA requirements, meet the ADA requirements. It's simple things like, so as an example, in this memo, there's a table, right? So if you have a visual disability and you're getting a reader, they don't parse those very, very well without giving it specific direction. So the software that creates the PDFs in a document that is mostly table structures, right, is very complicated. And so, you know, we're having to do this across all of our products. Our website, our Granicus for our board agendas and meeting minutes. You know, it really has this deep impact on us. And so it's one of the main reasons. It's not the driving reason. I think the driving reason is to do a modernization of our ACFR, and then also the integration with the city. It also happens to meet the new standards where case where it did not, or did not currently.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Second.
I had one, I guess, comment or question. It was hard for me to tell how much more it is because you have 41 plus 30 plus the 88 remediation, but it's like 162K versus.
So just to give you a ballpark of on an annual basis, it's about $46,000 for the new software, and the old software is about $13,000. So that's kind of a ballpark. It's about 3 times as expensive.
Okay, but the city's already using it.
Correct. And this will allow us to continue to integrate with them.
Okay, all right, thanks.
And after 3 years, you go back and.
We'll come back to you and this is our first time using the product, so we have to decide whether or not we want to continue, but also bring it back to the boards. And the reason why we need board approval is because we're expecting it to be 70,000, which is greater than the 50,000 allowance.
Oh, no, that was my question.
Okay,
Yeah, and also, as long as it's as nice looking.
but the hope is that it's gonna be better.
All right, so we had a motion by Votto, second by Santos. Any other questions, comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Going to 4H.
So the next two items are both our communication consultants. I'm starting to think I should have done these before we went through the stakeholder feedback, but I came to you last year and requested that we do a 1-year extension for both of these contracts in the hopes that we would have completed our strategic plan what I'll just say is define the direction of our communications program. And so we're not quite ready yet on the strategic plans development. So I'm asking for another 1-year extension for each of these. So Marty Boyer, Communication Advantage, and the other one I believe is Social Selinator. Just as a reminder, Communication Advantage is consultant we use to draft most of our content for our quarterly newsletters. And is also available to us for crisis communication should we need it. And then Social Selinator is really the management of our social media presence for both Twitter and Facebook, right? Just the two. And so it's coming to the boards because it's over the allowance that I have for approval based on the duration of these contracts. My plan is that we will have a better defined direction for our communication program coming out of the strategic planning process, and then to RFP for potentially combined services rather than individual services, but with a more or to in-house some of the services depending on the type of program that we look to set up. There's lots of different options we can go, but in order to keep our communication program running until we can get to that point, we're asking for another 1-year extension. The reason why we're coming to you so early is because there's that new 45-day communication requirement with all contract renewals that need to go for a 45-day comment window to all of the unions. So we want to make sure this will be one of the first times we're going through this process. We want to make sure we had enough time before June 30th.
Mr. Chair, so moved.
Okay, I got a motion by Santos. One
Question.
question.
Is the 50,000 limit something that the city guides or is the board set? And in the spirit of surveys asking, giving you more delegated authority, is there a way we can think about this in the future as variance to budget?
So it's currently defined in a couple of places across our governance documents. We're going to look to hone all of the authorizations inside of the CEO and CIO charters when we do their review in the coming year. But it's defined there. What I would say is that I know that the city manager last year received increases in delegations of authority specifically for contracts related because, 50,000, whenever the original delegation was made, might have meant more, but now we hit up against that limit very regularly. So as part of that review, I'll be making a recommendation to the board to increase that. I don't have a number yet by which I can give you some data points for other pension funds.
Okay, thanks. Second.
Well, I have a point of reference. I noticed in both cases, I guess the expenses were kind of low the last couple of years for each of them. What's changing that's gonna drive out it's gonna get back to previous level for Are there new initiatives?
So for the, so we do need to take motions one at a time, but for the Marty Boyer contract, we budget for potential additional communications due to, because part of the contract includes crisis communication. So we regularly do not hit that limit because we budget for some capacity. For social salinator, I don't really have a good answer for.
That contract is
It was like 4.25, now it's gonna be at 10.8.
to me, it looks like, fiscal 25-26 is broken into two parts. So to get the total year, I think you have to add those together. That's how I'm reading it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, so I apologize. There is a projected number, but it is broken, so there's a fiscal 25 through 26 that says through January 31st, so that's actuals. And then we have projected amounts from December 1st through the end of the fiscal year with a total projected amount of 10,800 for each board.
Okay.
So, and that's,
Okay.
yeah, sorry, we wanted to show you what the actual billing was and the projected amount.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, comments? All right, so we do have a motion by Santos, second by Ganapati. And this is going to be for 4H, which is the Communication Advantage contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 4I was also discussed. This is social salinator
Motion
contract.
to approve.
Second.
Motion by Votto,
It's a long sentence.
second by Santos. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Takes us to 4J.
Okay, the next three items are, as you might remember, as the city updates their policy manual, we bring policies directly to the boards, assuming staff support them. All three of these policies are supported, recommended by staff for approval. There's been minor updates to policy for personal use of city equipment. And then also for sick leave, it just gives the employees an additional allowance for sick leave approval. For the employee travel policy, what I would say is that they made it slightly less restrictive. As an example, they gave some allowance for to not use San Jose Airport, or some situations by which you didn't have to use the airport, including time and money allowances, which is be very good for the staff. And then the other big change for the employee travel is that it no longer excludes city council, it includes city council. And so the city council travel policy now points them to this updated employee travel policy.
Mr. Chair, we spend a lot of time on these things, and I'll support this motion to accept the.
All right, got a motion by Santos.
Do we have to do these individually?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, start with the city equipment.
We're doing I.
Jay.
So, Jay, correct. Jay. We got a motion by Santos, second by Votto. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, K.
Motion to accept the city policy.
Motion by Votto, second by Santos. Any comment, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And I. L, thank you. Travel policy.
Motion by Sam.
Motion by Santos, second by Votto. Any comment, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, John. Retirements. 51A. Jeffrey S. Tomlinson, fire captain, fire department, effective February 28, 2026, with 29.19 years of service.
So moved.
Motion by Santos. Second by Woosley. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, comments. I just want to say, Thompson, thank you for your service that you spent at San Jose Fire Department. You've been great to the community and the department, and enjoy your retirement. Thank you. Any other comments? Not, we'll go to death and survivorship notifications. Notification of the death of Edward George, fire captain, retired May 4th, 2000, died November 28th, 2025. Survivorship benefits to Carol George, spouse. Notification of the death of Kenneth E. Heredia, battalion chief, retired February 4th, 1999, died December 2nd, 2025. Survivorship benefits to Janet Heredia, spouse. Notification of the death of Kenneth Rawson, police sergeant, retired December 22nd, 2012, died January 2nd, 2026. Survivorship benefits to Mary Rawson, spouse. At this moment, we'll take a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Do we want to make any
Yeah,
comments?
Mr. Chair, it's always sad to see our members pass on, but I do want to point out that Battalion Chief Ken Heredia was a president of Local 230 and 831 for now 7 years. He also served in this retirement board, and many of the benefits we have today, he was deeply involved. So the best to all the families.
Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to committee minutes and reports. 7-1 Investment Committee, Shirley.
The last meeting was in December, no update, so we have a meeting.
All right, audit risk, Woosley.
Yeah, our last meeting was October 30th, 25. Among other things, we talked about the annual comprehensive financial reports. Our next meeting is tomorrow at City Hall at 12:30 after the Federated meeting. And that's where we should be being introduced to our new consultant, Baker Tilly.
Great, thanks. Governance Committee, Chair Flicker.
Our last meeting was in January. No meetings yet. Our next meeting is March 18th after this board meeting, where we will discuss, as John told us earlier, our policy of policies. So, fun stuff.
All right, thank you. Disability, Chair Santos.
Yep, that's it for you, Mr. Chair, but March 2nd will be our next meeting. The committee we have in the panel and staff that does a really fine job.
All right, thank you, and we'll receive the minutes from January 12th, 2026. JPC, Chairman.
Yeah, so we finalized our work according to the joint boards. The labor negotiators are going to talk to the finalist candidate tomorrow. So hopefully we complete soon.
Thank you. And then we'll also receive and file the minutes for January 8th, 2026. Any proposed agenda items for next meeting? Not, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.